three things I want to cover during my time here with you today. One, why is it important to optimize value from your data and AI investments? Second, what are we seeing as some of the key trends across industries for enterprises as they look to create a future-ready data and AI foundation? Thirdly, how do you start delivering outcomes with an end-to-end data platform? And I will leave you with a clear call to action. So first, why is it critical to optimize value from your data and AI investments? You know, as business leaders, data leaders, at this time, you're all grappling with data challenges across your enterprise. Coupled with that, you are looking to take advantage of one of the most transformational technologies of our time, generative AI. And really, how do you capture that value? In fact, most CXOs, 96% of them have said Gen AI will become critical to the success of their organization. But foundational to that success is your data, your edge. How does that provide you with that competitive differentiation in a world of AI? Second, you know, studies have shown, there was a recent McKinsey study that said 70% of all processes will start getting automated in a world of Gen AI. So what does that do for your efficiencies, right? Gen AI is reimagining efficiencies across the organization. It's powering workflows. It's democratizing access to data across the enterprise. And so all organizations are now looking to understand what actions they need to take to really build that modern data platform. You know, think about it. The math is quite simple. If a business does not leverage generative AI, as you have heard from 8 a.m. yesterday, there is really risk at hand. Imagine your main competitor has 70% more resources available to be able to bring a product to market faster, to serve their customers faster. Now, that's a great dream, isn't it? However, the harsh reality is that existing data architectures are not built for the needs of the AI era. In fact, an Accenture study states only 19% of organizations have been able to excel at maximizing value from the data. So what's really the underlying problem here? First, most insights within an organization are really trapped in your unstructured data. In fact, analysts believe almost 90% of the data generated in your organization is unstructured data. And in a world of Gen AI, we are seeing increasingly use cases that marry the structured data in your data warehouses with the unstructured data. Let's put this in play. Think about all the customer conversations that you have. You now want to power that using an LLM, marry that with structured customer demographic data or their purchase history, feed that into an AI model, use Gen AI to be able to then create personalized recommendations for your customer. Now, are you able to do that today? Most architectures don't support that marriage of structured and unstructured data. You need a platform that seamlessly works across these two types of data sets. Second, data and AI is really not being leveraged at scale across most organizations. Data access, you know, you'll hear me talk about this democratization of data. Data access is not democratized. Where available, it's still available in silos, and most people don't have access to it. And finally, when you look at organizations, most organizations are spending their time in tying together disparate tools, disparate siloed data sets that are spread all over the organization. And you can't even get to that AI use case. In fact, in 2022, there was a survey that said most organizations, the average organization, has about 130 SaaS applications. 130 SaaS applications. Some of these are data tools sitting in various different parts of the organization that need to work together. And some of these are really critical business applications where you need to unify the data. So that's really the challenge. And when it starts coming down to this data value gap, what we find is really critical is that it leads to a business performance gap. Now, what's the data point to prove that? And I find this statistic very compelling. I've shared it with a lot of CDOs I speak with. Companies that use their data and AI seamlessly see an average profit increase of 8%. They're also able to reduce their spend in terms of costs by an average of 10%. Think about that, what it does to the C-suite. You're able to expand top-line growth. You're able to also increase bottom-line efficiency. These are powerful statistics that really set the case for optimizing value from your data. So what's the first step? The first step in creating and capturing this data value is creating a data strategy that is closely aligned to your business objectives. And this is the framework we've worked with multiple customers. Think about your strategic priorities over the next 12 to 18 months. Does your data strategy really fuel that revenue growth, those strategic priorities? And think about bucketing them in 3 key pillars. 1, technology optimization. What is the tech debt today in your estate? Do you have legacy data platforms? Are they truly providing a return on investment for all that you're looking to do across your business priorities? Operational effectiveness. I think amongst you here are several leaders that are in charge of marketing, supply chain, financial operations. Are these operational processes, line of business applications, truly maximizing business value? And third, people productivity. I know, people are ultimately the biggest asset a company has. Are you empowering your people with truly giving them access to insights when they need it? Do you truly have this democratization of data that GenAI is now allowing across enterprises? So all of these now help you think about creating the foundation for your data platform. And you'll hear me talk about this framework throughout the presentation. How do we break out this foundation for your data platform? It all consists of your data producers, all the data that is being sourced, structured, unstructured, images, videos across the organization, the data that is being produced, and then the data that is being consumed by your analysts, your line of business owners, and the platform that supports it all the way from your approach to collecting it, storing it, processing it, analyzing it, activating it, and then keeping it ready for AI-powered outcomes while really creating the governance and security that is needed in this AI era. The challenges that you're looking to solve are similar to what a lot of our other customers have looked to solve. I'll walk through a couple of them. And with all of these, we have used different approaches across our data platform. L'Oreal was able to increase their return on ad spend by 2.2x. They were able to really effectively measure attribution, customer lifetime value, and start looking at their marketing campaigns to target their audiences better. When you look at TELUS was able to get a 50% improvement in their customer resolution time. They were able to create a holistic view of the customer and leverage AI/ML to really enhance their agent productivity. When you look at Kamanchaka, they were struggling with manual financial reporting, a lot of reconciliation gaps, and it took them hours. With our solution built on SAP ERP, we were able to reduce their modeling time by almost 83%. And finally, the holy grail of supply chain. The Renault Group, we were able to monitor 1 billion data sets across their suppliers, their production plants, and their business units to truly give them insights into their supply chain, visibility to really predict what will happen at any given time to really optimize their decision making. So this is really setting the stage for why you need to optimize value from your data and AI investments. Second, where do we see industries as you think about their readiness in creating a future-ready data and AI foundation? Most data leaders, and I'd love a show of hands across the room here, if these are questions top of mind is for you. Have I made the right investments in my data foundation? How can I leverage our data better? Really use that as a competitive differentiation to drive business value. How do I position myself to talk about all of these AI ML use cases? They're fantastic. Where do I get started? By leveraging my data. How can I ultimately make my data accessible, usable, to be effectively governed, and extremely secure across my enterprise? So in order to answer these questions, we wanted to get a sense of where the industry was. What are leaders, data engineers, data scientists, data analysts really thinking about their state on readiness for their data foundation? And so what we did is we created this survey built on 22 questions. We looked at several KPIs as well. And what we looked at is all the data that they have in their enterprise, whether it was used for AI activation and business outcomes, and then looked at their approach, I will say, to data analytics, so their analytical data, their artificial intelligence use cases, the maturity of their AI use cases, and then business intelligence. We did not consider databases and transactional data in this survey, more to come on that. And the questions were focused around data strategy and literacy, and across, again, that same foundation, core questions on, are they streamlining their data collection efforts? Are they processing that data efficiently, accurately? How are they storing the data? What is their approach to analyze the data? Are they providing tools to activate it, as well as empowering data-driven decision-making? All of it supported by what their choices for data governance is. And this is the heat map that we got. The survey was run with 410 customers. It's quite an eye chart. Don't give a lot of focus to the numbers here as much as I want to talk about the key themes. So when we look at this, think about it as strengths and opportunities, right? When you look at data strategy and culture, most respondents believe they have a very strong data strategy. But the conundrum is, when you look at data literacy, there's an opportunity to improve data literacy across the organization, data fluency. So customers are talking the talk, but are they walking the walk? When you look at collect and process, one of the core gaps we found, and we've seen this across customers, is their ability to harness real-time streaming data. Are you truly able to take action and make a decision at the point in time when something occurs in your business? Are you able to respond to market movement right when it happens, or are you able to respond to a customer at a point of friction? So for us, that's a huge opportunity across industries. The third is store and analyze, and this was also very interesting. While most customers believe that they have solved for scale, they've looked at migrating to the cloud, but what they might have done is inadvertently created data silos now in the cloud. And so now repeated the same on-prem challenges in the cloud. And this was really interesting because the key data point there is their ability to conduct ad hoc queries. Can you truly explore the data if you're now solving for scale on the cloud? And most people felt they couldn't solve for that. Insights and AI activation, this one, the core themes here was there is a lot of untapped power in data monetization. And I could talk about data monetization all day long. I think it is really the power to harness the data to drive additional revenue streams. And most companies are looking to do that, haven't been able to figure that out. And then lastly, AI use cases. Most companies felt that they were pretty early in their journey of adopting AI use cases at scale. And finally, data governance and security, no surprises here, extremely important for an organization. And only 27% of organizations said that they provide role-based access and tools for insights development and sharing. So really quite an insightful one. I was talking to Carlos in preparation for our session here, and he said, Joe, this is similar to what we saw at eDreams. And this is why we started our journey to modernize our data platform. So it was good to hear, and you'll hear how he solved for several of these challenges at eDreams. Now, if I was to summarize these, right, I'll go through these quickly. The key tenets really from that heat map slide is data strategy without data literacy impedes companies. You have to activate real-time data. Data silos, even on the cloud, will limit integration and any kind of exploration. Data activation with BI use cases is pretty advanced, but AI use cases are lagging. And data monetization is identified as an area of weakness and/or opportunity. And more than 38% organizations believe there is a need for strong data governance. So you know why it's critical, you know where the industry stands. So how do we really start now delivering outcomes with a seamless end-to-end data platform? And I want to walk you through kind of this mental model, right? What does the end state look like? It really is this end state vision of an intelligent data platform. Think about a data platform that pulls in all your data sources, has all the data that needs to be consumed by different roles, business users, stakeholders, your enterprise software seamlessly integrated, your ERP, SAP systems, your product lifecycle management tools, and then the support for all the business operations, be it marketing, supply chain, any kind of financial reporting, all coming together seamlessly in a unified cloud-based data platform. This is the end state vision, I think the holy grail for a unified data platform. And when you think about the brass tacks of what it comes down to, right? It is today in most data platforms, we are sitting with a lot of structured data. And again, as I talked about, you need to marry that and augment it with unstructured data to truly create a holistic view of enterprise knowledge. Now you're able to leverage powerful AI models to create mechanisms to predict, extract, and generate value from that data. And ultimately, well, I think this is the holy grail. It is Google is the only vertically integrated cloud for an end-to-end data and AI platform. And why do I say this? You know, with Google, you will have your data in BigQuery. You couple that with Vertex AI, our AI platform, and you can leverage Looker for all the insights that are needed. All of it powered by Gemini, and they all seamlessly work across each other. Supported by a Google Cloud platform that allows you to take advantage of our compute, our GPUs and TPUs, then having AI models that are available, first-hand available to all your applications for use. Now, think about this. Any data, any type of storage, any type of engine, vertically integrated with an AI platform that allows you to have access to more than hundreds of models. These models can be open sourced, they can be custom built, they can be Google models, all available to any user at any time. That's the power of a vertically integrated platform. So, and I'll wrap up quickly here. So really vertical integration, you know, I think as I've been talking about, vertical integration both reduces cost and time to value. It allows for democratization with AI-powered capabilities. It enhances productivity with all these pre-built integrations and AI agents to automate your code assist, your insights, and your actions. It allows for seamless collaboration while having an extremely secure governance, data's lineage, data security controls in place, while allowing you to scale both your infrastructure, your analytical models, with the tools at Google scale. That is the value of an end-to-end data platform. So how do you get started? We think about it in terms of creating a roadmap, and we've done this for several customers. You start with the tactical, the now. How do you maintain, optimize, and defend the core platform? You then get into an assessment of, are you truly ready for this end-to-end integrated future-ready data platform? What are the steps you need to take to modernize it? And finally, you are then ready for this transformational future where you can derive 10x impact with the data platform for your business outcomes. 3 benefits that I will leave you with: unleash the power of structured and unstructured data, make data and AI a team sport in your organization, drive for that true democratization of data, and set the right roadmap to build the foundations to create a future-ready data platform. I promised you a clear call to action. So if you look up and scan this code here, it allows you to have access to the same survey we ran with customers. It gives you a self-assessment tool with 22 questions, roughly 5 KPIs. You can take it. It'll give you a report back based on where you are on your maturity journey with recommendations for what you can do next. So hope you guys all take a look at that. And with that, I've talked about the when, the where, the how, and I'll pass it to Carlos to truly talk about how he's implemented and built a modern data platform for eDreams. While Carlos gets set up, Carlos is the chief architect at eDreams Origio. He leads a lot of architectural transformations there, such as migration to microservices, adoption of chaos engineering, and creation of a data mesh approach. Before eDreams Origio, Carlos served in multiple technical roles in healthcare, computer security, and video gaming companies, specializing in design of scale, distributed, and fault-tolerant systems. Give it up for Carlos, and I hope you enjoy the session.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. So we thought that more interesting than showing a real use case example of a data pipeline, it would be better to share the journey, because if you understand the problems that shape it, you can get more value of it. So this is the agenda for the next 20 minutes. I will start with some context, what kind of platform the company, what kind of company and platform the data system is living in, and then how we transition from a data warehouse to ecosystem of data silos, and then to a data mesh where we are today, and then how we design and how the data mesh works. So eDreams Origio, it's one of the largest e-commerce companies in Europe. It's publicly traded. It started selling flights and then diversified to hotels and insurance and anything travel. And in the recent years, it made quite a buzz in the travel industry because it created the first subscription program. In terms of scale, it does about 120 million searches per day. We have 600 developers working on now almost 400 microservices. And we do about 60, on average, 60 releases per day. The whole platform is running on Kubernetes, in Google Cloud, of course. We're quite strong on AI. We do almost 2 billion predictions per day, and we run 1,000 A/B tests per year. The evolution of the platform, in around 2008, where they were doing 1 release per day, which by the time was quite good, I think. And then over the time, there were 2 major forces that shaped this. One was business growth, because as business grew, there was a need for more developers working, but what's the point of hiring more developers if they are waiting in line to release their code? So the monolith started splitting in services until its current shape, in which we can do lots of releases per day and have the autonomous team working in parallel. And the other major force shaping the platform was AI, that started small in 2014, but had a huge success very quickly in almost 1 year, and very quickly spread all around the functions, all around all the business functions. And today, actually, 10% of the microservices are 100% AI. So the journey of the data pipeline, in 2008, the company had grown enough, so it made sense to create a dedicated team that would be in charge of having a unified data model, would be in charge of creating the ETLs that copy data from production using physical replication, and kept everything up to date. I'm sure that you're very familiar with data warehouses. You have centralized data governance. Everything was perfectly well. Of course, physical replication of databases means that from time to time you need to synchronize with development, but the company was small, so just with a few talks from now and then, everything was fine. This was disrupted because, as I said, the company grew, and then microservices happened. And microservices creates two sets of problems. The first one are technical problems, like, well, with microservices now you have isolated databases, so integrity, foreign keys do not work across instances. You also have problems of lineage, because now analysts don't really know where is data coming from and who they should ask. But the biggest problem of all was of scale. Because yes, microservices enable now autonomous teams working in parallel, creating more functional complexity. And how can one central team now understand how the company works to keep up with the analytical model? And worse than that, all those dozens of teams are working in parallel and doing dozens of releases every day. How can a central team keep up? They couldn't. So the new business domains that were popping up and they needed analytical capabilities couldn't get them, because they were never prioritized, because they were not the core business of the company. Of course, life always finds a way. What happened was that the new teams created their own data systems, a bit under the radar. It was good for them because they could basically do whatever they wanted. They created their own pipelines, their own systems. Mostly, some of them did contracts that were pushing data to the system, others were pulling data, but by far the most popular technical approach was logical replication of tables, which is great because it has zero development cost, so zero initial cost. Of course, over time you get regular data crisis, because a developer will rename a column and then the whole thing will break. But because the silo is contained within a business domain, and because everything was under the radar, nobody complained a lot and everybody was very happy. This was disrupted again because of two things. One was the success of the new business domains, because as they grew, the data crises that were happening regularly now started having a bigger impact on the company, and there was more noise about it. And the other was AI, because AI was also succeeding immensely in the company, and AI is very greedy about data, is very picky about data quality and requires governance, and also is pervasive. To reach your full potential in AI, you need, again, a cohesive, unified model of the whole business. And the silos did not provide that. And they're not interoperable, and they don't merge together. Of course, you can put hours and hours of data engineers' time trying to merge them with new ETLs on top of the silos, but it doesn't scale. So by 2019, we were thinking that this was not going to end well. We needed data governance as we had it with the data warehouse, but we couldn't see the way to have a centralized team taking care of that, going back, because we couldn't live without our 40, 60 releases per day. At that time, there was an article introducing a new paradigm for data systems, data mesh, and it's very hyped as of today, not back then. If you are not familiar with this, it's basically has three principles. First, you need federated governance instead of centralized data governance. Second, data needs to be a first-class product owned by data product teams, not by a central data team. And the data platform needs to be business agnostic and self-service. On top of these three principles, we added a fourth of our own, because in looking at our history, we realized that one of the major problems with prioritizing data work was that in the cost-benefit analysis that teams did, there was always an asymmetry, because most of the cost was on the producers, on the product teams, whereas the direct value was on the analysts. And then it's no surprise that product teams never prioritize data. So we thought that we would have a fourth principle saying, we will design the system so as much as possible, cost is always shifted to consumers, not to producers. So the problem was, first problem, that the article said the paradigm, but didn't give any details on how to do it. So we had to figure it out. And the rest of the talk is how we did that. First, federated governance. We use three pillars. First is data contracts. We set a few constraints. Only consumers can trigger the creation of new data contracts. Producers need to agree to those data contracts because they're going to be the ones owning them and being accountable for maintaining them. And another is that data contracts have to be scoped within a microservice. They cannot expose data beyond a microservice. That's critical to make really product teams accountable. The second was contract reviews. We assembled experts on data modeling from each of the business domains, and they would meet 3 times per week, reviewing all proposals for new data contracts, and they would not go into production without the green light. With this, we tried to ensure interoperability between domains and some cohesiveness, consistency across all data contracts. And the third was automation. We decided that everything would be, all policies would be enforced automatically by the data pipeline, not manually. And when that was not possible, at least we would automate measuring compliance with the policies, like with data quality SLAs. So at least we could automate alerting stakeholders when the policies were not met. So how do data contracts look like in our system? Well, basically, there are 2 files in a Git repository associated to each microservice. The first file is an Avro schema that contains the name of the contract, the fields, and the types. Avro is very convenient because it's natively supported by BigQuery and many languages, and has this nice property of including documentation in the contract itself. So we could say to developers owning data contracts that they are the ones that need to document that data contract. And the other file is a YAML file that contains policies in a declarative way. So for instance, what's the microservice that is owning this contract? What are the retention policies or partition policies? What are the quality SLAs, if any? And tagging any fields that have personal private information or financial information. And with data contracts, we can create data products. It was useful for us to create a taxonomy of 4 data products because each product type would be treated differently in our pipeline. By far the most popular are domain events, which are just modeling facts that happen in the business, like a booking has been confirmed, and we set a constraint that domain events need to be super small because they can only contain the minimal data needed to represent that fact. For instance, booking confirmed only requires a booking ID. The other side of this are snapshots that represent the whole state of a given entity and aggregate managed by a microservice, for instance, booking, and they will contain all data associated to the booking. Third one are data quality records, which are basically audit logs about other data products. If a data product has a data quality SLA, we will monitor regularly the data product, and the audit log will contain the compliance or non-compliance over time. And the fourth one are derivatives, which are hardly used, to be honest, but still, they're basically a way for consumers to stitch their own data products just by writing a SQL query in BigQuery, and then we create a materialized view with the system. Here we have a very simplified diagram of the architecture, so let's try to follow the life cycle of each of the data products. A consumer wants a new domain event, so they will go to the product team, they would write a proposal for the data contract, they would share it with the team doing the review, there will be some changes, and at some point it will be green lighted. At that point, the new data contract is registered into the pipeline, and because it has the Avro schema and the YAML file, the pipeline will automatically create a table in BigQuery, create all the columns with the appropriate types in the table. It will set the retention policies automatically. And then in parallel, the product team will work on the data contract in the microservice. They will use a library, so all the infrastructure thing is off their hands, and then go to production. When the new data contract is in production, the library takes care of publishing the events and sending them to a streaming platform using Kafka. So it's available in real time. And then the ingestion system, because the contract was registered, is already listening to that topic and will consume it in real time and write it in a few minutes in BigQuery. So consumers, just after a few minutes, can go to BigQuery, can use the new data product, they can join with whatever other products you have in the mesh, they can create their own dashboards in a self-service mode using Looker, and everybody is happy. The other second type was snapshots, work slightly different. In this case, the snapshot represents the whole state, so a booking. The only thing that developers need to do is basically create an endpoint that when called with an ID will return the complete state of that given booking. And the way the pipeline works is that it uses data stream, the CD system in Google Cloud, to detect changes in the tables of the microservice. When that's triggered, it calls the endpoint saying, hey, give me the new state of booking 57. And then it gets it and publishes it immediately in the streaming platform in Kafka. And then the ingestion system does the same thing it did with the domain event. It gets published in real time and in BigQuery again, where consumers can join snapshots with domain events. The third one is data quality records that when in the YAML file you set some data quality checks, the system will, you also set configure the frequency of the checks. So the system will automatically from that moment on regularly run the checks and store the results in another dedicated table. So from now on, consumers can be alerted when something goes wrong, when data quality is not met, or even if you're doing an analysis over history, you can check if 6 months ago when you're checking data, the thing was good or there were problems with the data. So to recap, we said what we wanted to do was to achieve the same kind of data governance that you have with a data warehouse, while still allowing product teams to work autonomously without needs to coordinate releases. And the way we did it is with data contracts that allow us to build a pipeline that is business agnostic, so it can scale irrelevant. I mean, it doesn't matter how many new business domains we set up or how many teams we put in place. The pipeline doesn't change because it doesn't understand anything about the domains, really. For producers, we remove most of the cost. The only thing that you need to do actually is keep your data healthy. Infrastructure is not a problem anymore. And for consumers, all the data is in BigQuery. You can query, do all the joins that you want. You can query terabytes of data happily. You have your Looker reports. You have data quality in the tables. And governance is enforced automatically because, for instance, because we have schemas, if somebody makes a mistake and tries to publish something which is not complying with the schema, it's rejected automatically.